Alright guys, welcome back. We got the heads on one of my last videos. I had mentioned in the past I am no longer going to use the factory steam vent kit. The reason why is because the factory heads have the steam vent ports located at the front of the motor, so right there and then right back there. But on the PRC heads, you also have steam vent ports on the back of the heads. Right back there. So I'm going to take advantage of that because on these LS motors, the number 7 cylinder, which is the cylinder towards the back of the motor on the driver's side, usually sees higher temperatures than the other pistons. So I'm going to take advantage of that, and that will help to lower those temperatures. Now you could just get a block off plate and just block them off, but I'm not going to do that. So let me show you what I did. So I purchased a TrickFlow 4-port steam vent kit, part number TFS 306SB601K. So you get the AN fittings, some line, and some screws with a O-ring. Now I had just cut some strips of blue tape and put it around the fittings, so when I wrench down on them I don't mar them up or scratch them up. I don't have AN wrenches, so I just mock these up in the position and in the fashion that they will be assembled in the engine. But I'll take them apart and show you step by step. And here's the hose. It's not a steel braided hose. It's more like a nylon covering on the outside. So, and the reason why I'm going to start this now, I'm probably just going to start on the back of the motor. Hold on, let me show you. I'm probably just going to start on the back of the motor because once the manifold is on, you're not going to be getting back there easily to tighten the bolt down and cut the hose. You're not going to be getting back there. So I might just start off with the back, hook them up, cut the hose to size, attach it, show you guys how that's done. But then again, I might be able to put the intake manifold on after that. I don't see how that would interfere with anything else right now. I have to check for push rod length and then install the oil pump up front and then continue putting everything back together. Alright, so let me get started on the back half and I'll be back. Okay, so to get started, you're going to start off with this piece first. This block will mate with the cylinder head. But first you have to put one of these little O-rings right over there. Put the O-ring on over that first. Then you take one of these Allen key bolts. It's a 5mm. You insert it through there, down into the block, and you torque it to 106 foot-pound. I'm sorry, 106 inch-pounds. 106 inch-pounds. And then you're going to attach one 90-degree elbow to there. Screw it in place. And then you'll attach this side, the opposite side. Sorry, this is going to go on the driver's side in the back. All of these fittings will go on the back passenger side. But before you tighten these down, just hand tighten them down, and then you make a measurement for the holes that you're going to cut. Alright, so let me get started, I'll be back. Well, I discovered a problem. The heads, the bolt hole is not deep enough, and the bolt bottoms out, and you can't torque them or tighten them. So here we go with another delay. Do I add washers under here? That's the getaway, or do I look for a smaller bolt, or do I cut these? Here's what is happening. It's about 3/4 of an inch deep, which is plenty of long for this thing to fall down, for this bolt to fall down in. I forgot them. Let me try to measure roughly what this is. This is also about 3/4 of an inch worth of threads. I'm trying to do this with one hand. It's difficult. Yeah. Okay. So that's actually deep enough. This is actually long enough with the gap that's in there, with that space. This should be resting about 1/4 of an inch off the bottom. But what's happening is the threads don't go down deep enough. If you can see down in there, the threading just stops, and then the bolt is just hitting the unthreaded portion. And being the same diameter as the threads, that unfinished portion isn't going to allow, that unthreaded portion isn't going to allow the bolt to go down. So it needs to be threaded all the way down. So what I could do, I could get a shorter bolt, or I could try to grind off about 4 or 5 threads, come down 4 or 5 threads like to here, grind them off. But then I don't know if it's going to thread properly. I might have to try to tap these, or I could look for shorter bolts. It's going to be hard to find shorter bolts that are going to fit. I would need Allen key bolts with the head of that diameter, because it's got to fit into this opening. And this being, you know, where I live, you don't have many speed shops, and if I walk into a Home Depot, they're going to look at me like, huh? What's that? Alright guys, let me show you what I'm doing to remedy this problem. I'm putting the bolts, I did it with 2 of them, so far it worked out. I'm putting the bolts in the vise, and I'm actually cutting 5 threads off, so about up to here or so. I'm using this very small Dremel with a thin blade, and it seems to be working. Haven't had an issue. I'm cutting them cleanly across, and they thread into the block with no problems. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, the problem has been averted. I cut 5 threads off of each bolt. I cut them cleanly, no issues. They thread perfectly into the block. So let me continue. I'll be back. Okay, let me show you guys what I have going on here. So basically I mocked them up. That's just a piece of cheap rubber hose that I had laying around. I cut it to a desired size, and that's basically how I'm going to position them in the back. So if you could see, it's actually pointing on an angle towards the firewall. So is that one back there. And I'm going to run the hose in that pattern, in the shape of a U. Because the back of the intake manifold, you have to plug in this one vacuum line, and then you have a large vacuum line that goes to the brake booster. It's about that diameter. So you got to make room for that, and it protrudes pretty much like back out here, and then it goes back that way. So if you were to try to run these straight, you're going to run right into this, the oil pressure sending unit. And if you try to put it in front of the oil pressure sending unit, now you're going to be fighting for space with the back of the intake manifold. So that's how that's going to be positioned. I guess my next video will be how to cut the line and attach it to the fittings. Alright guys, I'll be back. Okay, so the desired length of hose I want is 8 inches, basis off of that test hose I was using. So I measured out 8 inches. I put some black electrical tape around, and now I'm just going to cut it down the center here. Okay, I'm back. I cut the hose to the desired length, which is 8 inches. I used the air grinder. Worked well. First I started with the smaller one, but it just wasn't going as good, so I just took the big one and in one shot just cut it off in a second. So now I'm going to take the tape off carefully, and then I am going to thread it into this end of the fitting. And when I reach the threads, then I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to back it off like just 1/8, and I'll take it from there. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I got both ends threaded, well not threaded, just forced into the fittings. I got it basically right up to the threads, then I pulled it back about 1/8, and now I'm going to put it in the vise, and I'm going to clamp it down with the vise like that. I'm going to pinch it, and then I'm going to take this end. Well, first I'm going to put some motor oil on the threads and over here on the nipple, and a little bit of motor oil on the inside threads here. And while it's in the vise, I will then work this down into it, and then I'll start tightening it up with a wrench. And in case you're wondering why I have more blue tape, what I did was I put the blue tape up to the edge here. Now while I'm trying to press that in and seat it, if the hose is getting pushed out of this fitting, I'm going to know that it's not mating properly with that piece. Now if this doesn't back out, if this hose doesn't back out, I'm going to know that it's being seated properly. Let me just show you. Okay, so I've got it in the vise. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to work it down by rotating it and pushing it down and in. And while I'm doing so, and when I'm tightening this, if the hose here starts to back out, I'm going to know that it's not seating correctly. But without this blue tape here, this being black and this being black, I really wouldn't be able to tell if the hose is getting forced out. Alright, so let me get to work. I'll be back. Okay, I got the ends fitted and tightened up. No issues. The hose didn't move. Got this end on. The hose didn't move out. So now I will attach this to this and down to the other port on the back passenger side. Alright, let me get this in the car and I'll be back. Okay, so basically I'm going to take this end, this T, get down on there. And I will take the hose. I don't really get to show you guys hands-on how to do each step by step because I'm doing the videoing myself and the work. So, yeah, then that's why. I tried, but it doesn't work. All right, I gotta put this down. I'll be back. All right, so I got it in, and that's exactly how I wanted it. It came out perfect. Pretty cool. I just gotta tighten them up. You don't have to go crazy torquing them, just give them a good snug with a wrench. And that's the back half of the motor. Alright guys, I'll be back. There it is, everything is snugged down. Came out pretty good. That is how you do the rear ports on a LS motor in a Corvette, or any LS motor. Alright, now I'll have to figure out what else. I'd like to finish it, but I don't know the exact length that I would need from here, what obstacles I'm going to have to clear, or for the front half. So maybe I'll put the intake manifold back on, but that's it for today. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If you could please click the like and subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'll do my best to help you out. Thank you. Bye-bye.